7:44. Welcome back. Thursday morning here on the show. Our next guest, 4 decades serving our country in a civic arena, federally, and the advocate for social justice. Great stories documented in this political memoir. It is Outside In. Her name is Libby Davies. Great to have you on the couch. Congrats on the book. And I was just asking you during the break, when you have the opportunity to reflect, stepping outside of the political arena, what is the true revelation you have about politics, the way it works, and what you learned about our Canadian system?
Well, I think when you're in the thick of it and you're in the moment, you're so busy fighting on the issues that you're fighting on, and you're in Parliament or in the community, that you get very little time to sort of think about what you're doing. So stepping away from that, it's been very interesting me, particularly to look at my experiences as a woman in politics and to think of kind of the sexist environment I was in. I mean, I always knew it was there, but I didn't reflect on it very much. I just kind of brushed it aside, move on, get on to the next thing. So writing the book, it's been very interesting to think about that. And then the other thing is to think about how it is that change takes place. I worked on a lot of tough issues that weren't considered mainstream, and so stepping away from it to think about what was it that made it successful to help bring about changes. For example, like setting up Insight, the safe injection site, or making sure that people who use drugs have the supports and services that they need. So writing really helped me do that, to think about some of those questions that I wanted to bring out in the book.
Well, it does come through in a major way, and one piece of inspiration takes us back to what the 70s, the Downtown Eastside, known as Skid Road.
Yeah.
Tell us about the reality that existed and the passion you had and still have to make a difference.
Well, I started as a young organizer in the Downtown Eastside when it was still called Skid Road, 1972. And I can tell you, Riaz, we just kind of flew by the seat of our pants. Nobody taught us what to do. It was sort of some success, failure. We were fighting City Hall. It was literally life and death issues, people dying in fires in the old rooming houses. We were organizers in the hotels and rooming houses and fighting really cruddy landlords and things like this. But I learned a lot. I mean, I think that's really where I got my politics from, was from that sense of being in the community. But then later, being at City Hall, I learned how the inside works. So this idea of outside in has been very important to me, because, there's activism and people are engaged in activism, but often there's a disconnect with the electoral world, the political world. And I wanted to share experiences and thoughts and ideas about how we need to work together better, not only in terms of working as activists with other people and allies, but also with elected people, right? We're not on different planets. We're often working on the same issues. How do we develop much stronger relationships to help bring about transformative change? So those are some of the things that I wanted to explore, and certainly those early years in the Downtown Eastside, where it was very raw and it really felt like we were fighting life and death issues. That's been very much a foundation for how I see politics, how I engage. So for me, it's always been about issues, working on issues. It's not about, scoring points or slugging somebody. I don't like that in politics. It's become so hyper-partisan, and I wish it weren't so.
Well, carving out the voice as a politician, when we look at the theater that you see taking place in the House of Commons of people sharing their views and opinions. There's an interesting story in this book with politician Sven Robinson that you work close with, that encouraged you to enter the federal arena of politics. Take us back to the World AIDS Conference, the issue of the bombing of Gaza coming up, and then Sven challenging you of speaking up and having this voice heard.
Yeah, like Sven and I go way back. When I first got elected as an MP, he was definitely a mentor for me. But we have the kind of relationship where we love to argue as well. And he's a very insistent, determined man, and I really respect that. And so it was a situation where things were happening in Gaza. There was bombing going on, and Sven felt I hadn't spoken out enough. And he said, if I was still there, I would have resigned. And we had this fearful row about whether it would have been the right thing to resign or not. And I remember leaving that World AIDS Conference. It was actually in Melbourne, Australia. We were sharing the same hotel room and feeling, is he right? Maybe I should be doing this or this. And that does happen in politics like anywhere else, right? You have moments where something big is happening, and you are challenged about what is the right choice, what is the right decision to make. So I wanted to put it in the book because I wanted people to know that, you know, in this political world, it's not all so easy, black and white. You know, it's like there are nuances, there are sensitivities, there are difficult choices, particularly when you're in a political party, right? Because you're part of a team, right? And you know, are you letting the team down, or are you abandoning your own principles? These are very tough issues that elected reps go through, and we see that play out in Ottawa even today with, you know, the cabinet ministers who resigned. So I wanted to kind of get that side out, so hopefully people could understand a little bit better what that world is like.
Well, I think it's going to create a productive conversation. Great backstory, 4 decades of politics here in our country, especially with this being an election year. Congrats on the book, and Libby, I appreciate.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, your insight and perspective.
Pleasure to be here.
We'll take a break. Watch this. Your viral videos of the day coming your way. Thor checks in next.